Jones Insurance Agency. I'm the office manager here. I'm here with Thomas, my coworker and life specialist, because he's awesome in life insurance. Today we are going to be talking about the commercial package policy. We briefly discussed it in another podcast, but we're kind of just going to go into a little bit more detail today. So kind of what this is it's similar to the business owner's policy or the BOP. Sorry, I got distracted from the
right. It's like, where do you come from?
Exactly. But so it's similar to the BOP. It's just works better for, you know, larger businesses, so more like corporations. You know, say you have like a huge condo or like huge apartment building that you own, it kind of is better working for that. So, you know, commercial package policy, it's also called commercial general liability policy, or a CGL. It covers some general liability exposures. It does not cover auto liability or professional lines liability. So like professional lines is like errors and omissions and stuff like that. You'll need to get a different policy. Some of the general liability exposures, they're in 4 different categories. So you have premises and operations liability. So that's basically liability arising out of conditions in and around the insured's premises, as well as its current on and off premises business operations. So say you have like a main office, but then you also do work off of, like you work remotely or whatever, it kind of helps cover that. Products and completed operations liability. So say you make something like a toy or even food, that kind of covers that. Contractual liability, so the voluntary assumption of obligations that do not exist under common law. And then you have independent contractor liability, so liability imposed on the person who hires an independent contractor to perform work on its behalf. So that covers that section as well. There's 3 different forms for the commercial package policy. You have your basic form, which covers, you know, the basic losses such as like fire, lightning, explosion, windstorm, hail, riot or civil commotion, vandalism and malicious mischief, and a bunch of other stuff. Even volcanic action, which I did not know that. That's pretty interesting. So
a little bit there.
Yeah, all volcanic eruptions that occur within a 168-hour period are considered one occurrence.
Gosh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
It's a big window of time.
that is. I wouldn't suggest putting your business right at a volcano, but apparently it's covered.
It's a cool like attraction though. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, look at my volcano back there.
Look at my volcano. That's funny. You could do like a theme park or something. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Have like a little trolley that goes to the top.
Yeah.
Then when they get to the bottom, they buy whatever product you got.
Yeah.
Like that.
Take pictures and stuff. Little tourist thing. Don't suggest doing it. But so what else? Then there's the broad form, which covers everything in the basic form plus some other things like falling objects, weight of snow, ice, or sleet, and water damage. You know, obviously falling objects, like if you leave something out in the open. So like, for an example, say you have a bistro and you have some like outside seating and it's the type that you like need to take in every night. Say you don't take it in one night, big tree branch falls on it, that's not going to be covered. So just, you know, as you're doing a business, always try to make sure that you're doing everything you can to avoid risk.
But you can get that covered though, right? Because it's technically equipment.
I'm sure there's like an endorsement probably, but as far as like the broad form coverage, it just says we will not pay for loss or damage to personal property in the open. So
I wonder if that's what led a lot of people to doing like enclosed, like during COVID, they did enclosed kind of outside patios that they had to build. I wonder if they were covered or if that was a problem at first and then they found their way around it where they enclosed it. That's probably something that happened.
Cause I see a lot more now where like they were outside, but now they have, like you said, that structure that they've built around it.
Right.
So it's possible. So there's additional coverages for like collapse, and collapse is defined as like an abrupt falling down or caving in of a building. So, and then it also can't be occupied for its intended purpose. And then there's also the special form, which, you know, is like the same, it's kind of like a tier, you know, you have the basic, then the broad, and now special form, it covers all the other stuff, including property in transit. So I guess like if you're having your product delivered and something happens to your product, the product is covered.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah. And then, you know, water damage, other liquids, powder or molten material damage, and then glass.
It's a volcano again.
It's not volcano again with the molten material. So I guess if you are gonna put a business right at the volcano, you should get the special
molten
form.
coverage.
Yeah. That's funny.
Perfect.
Yes. There you go.
Take notes.
Take notes.
Might help you one day.
He's an entrepreneur, so.
Entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
What she said.
Yeah. As I butchered it. Obviously there's exclusions, just like with every insurance policy. There's things that they won't cover. So like nuclear hazard, war and military action, governmental seizure or destruction of property, you know, it can kind of go on and on.
We got a list of exclusions.
Yeah, like a whole page. Boiler explosion is one of them.
Like lists off the like uncommon ones that people probably wouldn't suspect.
So
or maybe like ridiculous ones.
Yeah, so there's boiler explosion, so weight of snow, ice, or sleet on gutters and downspouts, and also to personal property in the open, so what we were talking about earlier. And then
which you would think your property would be covered.
Exactly, but
it does make sense.
Yeah, so you always want to read the small print.
Yeah, the exclusions to be specific.
Yes. Employee dishonesty, which I mean makes sense if you got, you know, a rogue employee, that's not going to be covered.
Very important. Is there anything for like cybersecurity or like
that
data,
was
data
there was something, I can't remember what page it was on, but that was something that I wanted to talk about. Let's see. So building and personal property additional coverages. So these are automatically included. You have debris removal, which we've spoke on before, pollutant cleanup and removal, fire department service charges, preservation of property, increased cost of construction, and electronic data. So cost of replacing or restoring electronic data that has been destroyed or corrupted by a covered cause of loss, including a computer virus subject to an annual aggregate limit of $2,500. Yeah. So, not a lot, but at least there's something, yeah. And then
I think there's just one form. They have different forms of like data coverage.
I think it's just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one, yeah. And then some of them, I think it might have been, some of them actually exclude it, so it's definitely something that you might need to add, depending on which form you get. So yeah. Oh, here's one. Theft of building materials and supplies not yet attached to the buildings. So I guess if you're in the middle of construction and somebody comes and steals all the materials, that's not covered. And of course there's the earthquake form. I know Thomas is new here, so he wasn't here for our extreme amount of earthquakes that we had in the Midlands area in South Carolina, but just like with your homeowners, it's a separate form, it's a separate coverage that you'd have to add to it. And obviously, you know, with stuff happening now, I think it would be important to have, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so,
You never know.
no. But, do you have anything that you want to add to the commercial?
I mean, I think you said it all. You got the book right there. You got the reference points on points. I mean, I guess the biggest point of commercial package policy, is to allow that customization.
Yes.
You know, for people looking for coverage. Right?
Yes. So I will say that it does seem much more, I don't want to say flexible, but there's definitely more options.
It's
versus
more adaptable.
Yes.
To what you need. And
Yes.
I know there's even a step up where you can actually get more specific, and it's, you know, not a CPP, but it's another type of coverage.
Yes.
We might get into. Am I correct? Am I in that thinking, or is it this right here?
I think it's this.
Is this?
Yeah.
Okay. Strike that from the record.
But
Just rein it in.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely more, I guess, flexible than the BOP.
Yeah.
But of course, the BOP is mostly towards, you know, small businesses that don't need
Too much.
too much, very specific coverages. They just need a more broader form.
Right.
Where, you know, obviously when you start getting into like the corporation level, there's so many little here's and there's that
need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Covered specifically.
Yeah.
And I, you know, the CPP, commercial package policy, allows you to do all of those things. Even with exclusions, you can get in endorsements, which will allow you to, you know, pick up where those exclusions kind of left off, and allowing you to have specific coverages, like we just mentioned, those here's and there's that may not be covered but can be. You just got to speak to the right people and make sure you're asking the right questions. So,
yes, for sure. And you also need to make sure that you qualify for the CPP, because, you know, like your building has to be a specific square footage, or, you know, a certain amount of, like, if it's a condos, it's got to be a certain amount of condos, you know. So obviously speak to your insurance agent, or call us.
Yeah, give us a call.
Yeah, we can definitely help you figure out what the best coverage.
Yes, the link is below.
Yes.
Contact information.
Is it gonna be like right here, or is
It's
it
gonna be like in the description.
Okay, so it's in the description.
Maybe we'll put one right there.
Yeah, over here somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but I'm kind of just looking through, seeing if there's anything else that we need to talk about. So obviously, like, kind of like with the BOP, you know, a business auto policy is not included in this. That's a separate policy that you'll need to get coverage for, as well as
business what?
Business auto policy.
Auto?
Auto.
Oh, for like vehicles. Okay.
So like if you're doing deliveries, or what did you think I was saying?
I thought you were trying to say business owners policy.
No, auto. AUTO.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's completely separate. Especially talking about a fleet of vehicles.
Yes.
That's like, you gotta get into a whole different part of insurance. And that's separate from your buildings, even though you can consider your vehicles as equipment.
Technically, yeah.
But it's a whole different entity in itself. So,
as well as workers' compensation, that's a completely different.
Big part. And that is a whole completely different type of insurance, which can be offered through the state funding, quote unquote. But you have to sign up for it, and then there's like litigations and stuff you have to kind of communicate.
See, I didn't know all that. That's pretty...
Well, I mean, it was in kind of like the study portion of, you know, CMP.
It's been a minute since I've done my PNC license.
And there's levels too, because you can opt out of workers' comp, quote unquote, with the state, but you have to pay into a certain amount of fund.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like with your own private bank or with like a specific bank that they choose, but like there's like ways around going through the state.
Okay.
You know, same thing with like insurance on a company. Like a company can insure themselves. If you have that type of capital, there's a lot of people like an Apple who probably doesn't have insurance through like
another entity.
Yeah, like they're self-insured. So like they have what they call a war chest or an insurance fund where they can pay people back. For instance, they have a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit for the iPhone slowing down. That's
I heard about that. Okay, they're just now paying out.
Yeah, I guess
that's been there for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that. I know it was like back and forth, and then I didn't know if it was real, like it was actually going to come down the line and actually.
That's fair. Yeah, I just remember that a lot of people were saying that their older iPhones were obviously slowing down and messing up 100%. To help
without a doubt
boost their sales of newer iPhones as upgrades and all that stuff.
Pretty sure my MacBook is doing that, but 2019.
Yeah. A lot of people that I've known that have the iPhone were complaining of that problem.
And that's a prime example right there. That moment, for that company, right? Apple, one of the biggest companies, they have the money somewhere. If not, they may have some insurance. They might have insurance, and then they might have their own insurance that they pay. Right. It's all about how they allocate their money, what they want to do, what risk do they want to take on, because that's all insurance is. Risk placement. Where do you want to place your risk on your vehicle?
Right.
Personally, you could put your own insurance. You could pay. There's people who are wealthy enough to have their own insurance and not go through any insurance company. They just put it into a fund. It's like escrow, quote unquote. Don't quote me on that though. But it's example would be like an escrow account. You put that money there. You show that you can afford your vehicle as much as the next. At least that's what I remember. That allows you to be self-insured and not have to worry about going through any litigation through the state. You do it directly with your own representatives, and
to be in that position, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, if you're in that position, probably not even driving yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So probably got a few accountants, but it's perspective.
Right.
Overall, it's just about risk, where you place it, and how often you want to take on those, liabilities.
Yes, I agree. And then, just kind of making sure you're covered for all of the unexpected. We kind of brushed on earthquake insurance, but also when COVID hit, a lot of places shut down. A lot of people got laid off because they couldn't afford to keep them, and so that business interruption coverage is definitely something that you should be considering.
And that would be a good question because I don't know the answer. Maybe a little bit more research would have helped me. But what you're bringing up right now is like a great example of does my insurance cover this or does it not?
Right.
Is it excluded? Because technically nothing damaged my business where I had to lose, revenue. But literally litigation and whatnot came down, and it's like, all right, you can't work.
Right.
Now you can't feed your family. Your employees can't feed themselves.
Yeah. So I know a lot of things changed in the insurance world when COVID happened because of stuff like that. Because it's is it covered? Is it not covered? Right. And a lot of nitty gritty. I don't have the exact answer. I guess I should have looked it up before.
This is
Hold on.
Podcast.
Pause. We're gonna
do whatever we need to on camera. Okay. Look up, research. Shoot. We can call underwriting right now.
We could. What is this?
It's a learning moment, everybody.
It is. Oh, I didn't want to download something. I hate when that happens. I just want to read it. Just let me read it.
Oh, PDF.
Okay, let's see.
And what are you looking at exactly?
This is if COVID is included in business interruption. I think it is now, yeah.
Because a lot of people are upset. Because I know a bunch of people didn't receive any type of business interruption payments.
So this is from South Carolina DOI. So this is South Carolina. I can't speak on any other state.
Yeah.
It's just, it says, with the outbreak of the coronavirus, and when was this? Because that's important too. I'll have to look back when this was created. With the outbreak of the coronavirus, some business owners may be wondering whether their insurance policies cover losses resulting from a business shutdown or other losses related to the coronavirus. Under the business income policy, there likely is no coverage as losses occurring as a result of a virus or bacteria are typically excluded. And then it just says to contact your agent or broker. I'm thinking they might have changed that. I'm wondering how old this is because I know a few people who have their own business, and I think it was where their insurance wasn't covering it, but they could reach out to the state for some type of program.
Yeah, they were doing like small business loans, grants.
Yeah, it was a grant. There was something else. It was some type of forgiveness thing.
Yeah, you're talking about PPP.
I think so.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
PPP loans, and then they did small business loans. I think the PPP you didn't have to pay back if you could prove that you were paying what you're supposed to.
Because I know, unfortunately, a couple of my people that I know, they did not qualify for any of that, so they just.
Some people were just above the threshold. Some people were just below it, and it caused them to miss out completely.
Yeah. And
it's still like I have employees, I have a business that I have to pay rent on. Which I guess the moratoriums on rent kind of help business owners.
Right.
People that were at least leasing, I guess. Maybe they saved on that, but other than that, you still have employees who aren't getting paid, loans that you probably have out as a business. Right.
That aren't getting paid now.
Exactly. So there's no revenue coming in.
Nope. It was a tough time for sure.
Yeah.
So.
You're all in the mix.
Yes.
Trying to make it work.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a great example of like, you don't know if it's an exclusion, you don't know if it's been updated, right? Because coverage changes, especially when it's like unforeseen things happen in the world, right? Like COVID was something that never happened before.
Right.
Insurance companies weren't prepared, and I mean, some got prepared quickly, some didn't. Right. Some, just didn't catch up with the times. Right. And it's always good to know you're with a good brand, a good insurance company, for those situations, because if you have someone that's not willing to move their needle for a good purpose, that's going to help a lot of businesses. You may be, maybe need to rethink who you're with and try and get a new policy.
Yes.
And give us a call.
Give us a call.
Number below.
Yes.
Contact.
In the description.
In the description.
Yeah.
Yes. So where are we going with this now? Because I know we're probably like, 30 minutes in?
Are we?
Maybe.
I don't even think we can. Yeah.
Go check. We'll take a break. 23.
Okay. Is that a good amount or?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do not want to have to go do another hour-long.
Yeah.
Like edit session.
That's fair.
And that's an hour long is just watching it. Like it's way more than an hour.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, it's not that bad when it's smooth enough where you can just kind of clean
fair.
up here and there.
That's fair. Okay. Well, I think we can call it with that. Yeah.
Like the whole thing?
Yeah.
You don't want to get to we got like
what else do we have?
More points we
okay.
We talk about
highlight the impact.
Cybersecurity. I know we kind of talked about it. Current events.
So current events. That's your.
I just like to full circle.
That's fair.
And people care about, certain topics. They want to hear about it.
So we hit COVID. So cybersecurity. So basically we kind of hit on that.
We did.
Let's see.
We talk about its prominence in the world, because that's very important. I think so.
It is, yeah.
Because how much data of ours is out there.
Yeah.
A lot.
And like,
first and foremost, yes.
The constant data breaches that are happening with several companies, even banks, like it's insane.
Our satellites.
I
mean, and just to bring it to something we can all relate to, everybody's been hacked on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like you name it, you've probably been hacked on it.
I'll never forget. So, when I was in high school, not Twitter, Facebook had just really started, so we're all on our school computers. We weren't supposed to, but we were all on our school computers doing Facebook, playing Farmville. You know what I mean?
Farmville.
Farmville.
I I remember Farmville.
Yeah.
And I never played it. I just knew everybody was playing it.
Yes.
Like, everyone older than me, the cousins and whatnot.
Yeah.
Great game.
So we were all on Farmville, and then, you know, of course, in high school, people like have inappropriate pictures of other people, and there was this big thing going around of like, oh my gosh, is this really you? And it was a link, but of course it was a virus, but none of us knew that. The amount of students that were in the IT to go get their computer just completely swiped and redone because we would click on that link, it was well over 20. I think like half of my class, and of course there's like 8 other classes.
Y'all have laptops?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It was a laptop, like not that kind of laptop, like it was a brick, okay?
But it was still a laptop.
It was still a laptop, yeah.
We didn't get laptops. We got iPads, but that was, also was in like the suburbs.
Okay.
If I would have went to a public school, I probably wouldn't get anything. Had to get everything myself.
Okay. We did not get iPads, we got the laptops, and that was it. So.
I mean, listen, you get your work done, wherever, whenever, and it's on, you know, taxpayers' budget, but, you know.
Pretty much.
But, I mean, that's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, young, naive children doing things they're not supposed to on technology.
Yeah.
That's loaned to them, technically, because it's a loan. Yeah, you're gonna catch a virus, right? Facebook in its early heydays was probably a lot worse, right? These days it's a little bit more like you know what to see, like what to expect when you go on your timeline.
Mm-hmm. But then, like, we didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? You'd be like, yo, like, yeah, like anything's possible in high school.
Because we were all like coming from MySpace, you know what I mean? So, and
that was like a playground.
Yeah.
Like anything could happen there.
Pretty much.
Which is great though. MySpace was a great place because you could build your own like actual page.
Yeah.
And do the coding. And
had us out here coding and stuff.
Yeah, like
little junior programmers.
Yeah, like bring that back. Like that was an educational platform that people overlooked. Like it was underrated.
And then the scandal of having your top 5 or top 10.
Oh yeah, like visible.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Start moving people around.
Right, that was tough to call. Like, you had to walk into school that Monday, like, oh, what? Like, really?
Yeah.
Your top 5?
Or like going on somebody else's page and seeing they move people around and like hitting up your people and being like, what just happened? You know?
Sick.
There was lots of tea happening.
Right. Soldier Boy era.
Soldier Boy, yes.
Not yet. Listen, the fact that I want to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
I was not on MySpace because I wasn't even old enough. I was super young.
Now you're making me feel super old.
No, like you probably were on it because you are a few years older than me.
I am.
That being said, you also like, you know, were doing stuff at my age, the same thing, you know, at your age. Like you was probably 13, 14 with a Facebook or with a MySpace.
Yeah, I
had a Facebook at 13, 14.
Okay, yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that for real. It's not made for kids.
It's not legal.
No.
If they find out you're lying, they will shut down your page.
Yeah. Well, I think, at the time that we signed up, you could be 13 and have a Facebook.
Not no more. Yeah, they cracked down on that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I heard everything. I saw everything. Like, my mom was on MySpace, crazy.
Was she?
Like,
That's great.
Like, I remember being young, probably like 9 or 10, and we went to like the local public, like, I guess, internet cafe.
Okay.
And we went in there for her to check her MySpace.
That's so funny.
It was like, this is sick. It was like one of those like centers.
Okay.
Where, like they had like the, you know, internet cafe and like, everything going on there. So we went in there, checked the MySpace. And
that's hilarious.
I remember that memory.
Yeah.
I remember that memory. Yeah. That memory is like very timestamped in my mind. I'm like, this was like right before Facebook blew up, Farmville and everything got lit. And phone calls. Very important.
Yep. So, thank you, Thomas, for joining me today for going over some commercial package policy coverage and what that entails.
My pleasure.
Today's sponsor is Freedom First Outfitters of Camden, South Carolina. It's 2A Safe Haven, and we will see y'all next time.
Don't forget to Leave a comment.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want to see anything specific or if you have any questions about what we covered today. We'd be more than happy to answer and respond. And we appreciate you as always.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Bye.